Welcome everybody. I'm so glad you could join us today for our third part of the series of A Breath of Fresh Air, Healing Through the Arts. My name is Sara Rosen. I serve as the Managing Director of the Women of NJPAC, and I am delighted to welcome you today on behalf of our board of trustees and everyone at NJPAC. This has been a wonderful partnership that we have brought together with the Zontas of Essex County, and it has been a really vital part of NJPAC's programming during these past several months since we have had to be closed. So I just want to welcome you to NJPAC. This is what NJPAC now is, a virtual gathering and community. We are recording this program today, and it will be put on NJPAC's website for viewing. Our first program is already on the website, and I encourage you to go check out NJPAC in your living room for other programming. So thank you for joining us. So I especially want to thank the Zontas for their incredible vision for this program. They pulled together all of the speakers. They found these incredible local women artists who have just been a wonderful part of our community. And so we're so glad to be hosting and being a partner with the Zontas. Our goal was during this confinement and healing to bring about healing. And we know that arts is an incredibly healing part of our community and our world, and how important it is. And we also, with the Zontas, share a commitment to shining a light on organizations that are serving women and girls in our community, and connecting all of us with resources. So I did want to share a few of resources that we've pulled together that are available. You'll hear shortly a little bit more about Safe House. They joined us, Safe House group joined us for our first session. The Zonta Club, you can find out more information. If anything comes up for you during this time, we do hope you'll reach out to the Mental Health Association of Essex and Morris. So I will gonna pass you on to the good hands of our Zonta Governor, Joanne Gallows, who will offer a welcome on behalf of the Zontas. And I just want to say on behalf of NJPAC, thank you for joining us today. Joanne?
Thank you, Sara. Good afternoon and welcome from Zonta International District 3, which is one of 33 countries worldwide. Thank you, Zonta Club of Essex and NJPAC members, for including me in this series. Zonta is celebrating 100 years in our 63 member countries and has always focused on empowering women and girls through service and advocacy. Next slide, please. Our 28 District 3 clubs are active in the ratification of the ERA. We want to stop campus rapes, where 1 in 5 female students are raped every year. Locally and internationally, domestic violence has increased, especially during COVID-19. Under our umbrella of Stop Violence Against Women and Girls, we are pursuing to end child marriages. In the US, it means minimum marriageable age at 18 with no considerations. Only 4 out of our whole 50 states have recently enacted this law. Internationally, we are educating village leaders and families to allow their daughters to get educated. So the results are their daughters' skilled jobs are more family income than through one-time early marriage. Unfortunately, trafficking is still rampant. Zonta District 3 clubs are working with truck drivers along the 95 corridor to identify potential traffickers. Internationally, we found war areas mean increased violence and rape and early marriages for protection to girls. Zonta is helping Eid by Eid, hand by hand, as a project to help Jordanian women and Syrian refugee women who are living in Jordan. Almost every District 3 club supports a safe house for women and for their children. Our Zonta International Project of Education in Madagascar is an example of helping through education. Health and climate changes are issues, and both are under our Stop Violence. Our club's dedication includes sponsoring Girl Scout Z clubs in high school and Golden Z clubs in college. Children are our future. Zontians promote education, believing this is a strong answer to a better world. International scholarships include the Amelia Earhart Fellowship for Women in Graduate Studies in Aerospace and Engineering. This is in honor of a former Zontian named Amelia Earhart. Other scholarships include Women in Technology to grow women in management, women in public affairs, and women in business. Clubs also give local scholarships. We are a strong presence at the UN, especially since New York is one of our district states, and we partner with UN Women, UNICEF USA, UNFPA, and we work together as a team, as NJPAC and Zonta Essex are doing with this series. Next slide, please. So where is the Zonta journey of healing taking us? A world where women's rights are recognized as human rights, where women are able to achieve their full potential with the same opportunities as men, and where women and girls live in no fear of violence. This is Zonta's breath of fresh air. Now it is my pleasure to introduce a special Zontian, Dr. Antoinette Ellis Williams. Antoinette?
Thank you, Joanne. So when this COVID hit, some of us sat and thought about what's happening with women, local women, and with our own sense of isolation. Nobody wants to go to work and run around and do all of these things, but when you're forced into isolation, you think differently about yourself and about what's going on. Some of us are in trauma. Some of us are not in safe shelter. And we wanted to find ways to express ourselves collectively in our own space. We know that there is going to be changes. There must be changes as we move forward. So how do we do this? What are our new perspectives? Are we going to use Zoom? We have to find ways to continue to stay connected with this new world. One of the things that we were really clear about and passionate about is that we have to build community. Women across all kinds of socioeconomic scales, race, sexuality, all of those things, we all have to come together. Having a voice is important. Feeling free is not just a feeling. It is about access to resources and the ability to make those changes. I'm a visual artist, and a few years ago, I had the privilege of going to a show and meeting and seeing the work of Danielle Scott. Danielle Scott grew up in Jersey City. She went to Arts High School. She has her BFA from the School of Visual Arts in New York. And when she was at Arts High School, her world changed. I'm proud that Pam Morgan is also a part of Zonta, and she is a member of the committee. Did a film on Newark's own hero, our Shiro, Gladys Grower. And we say that the seed tells you something about the tree. Danielle Scott worked closely with Ms. Grower throughout the time. She is as intersectional as most of us would dream to be. An Afro-Cuban, Jewish, Polish, lesbian mother, teacher to kids, poet, and a great humanitarian. And I'm so proud that she's part of the community and I can call her friend. Danielle Scott will lead us through today's workshop, and you will be changed as a result of it. Danielle, take us through the program. Thank you all.
I would like to thank everyone for coming and joining us for Healing Through the Arts. And I was super honored to be selected to do this because what a lot of people don't realize is that art is very healing. And there's many people like myself who's an artist or professional artist, but I'm also a certified art therapist. And I've learned that art therapy helps many. And with the COVID, we had to learn to find a way to heal ourselves from losing someone, or from having family members that were sick, or even students that are dealing with this as well. And my way of doing that is through my art. There's a slide up of one of my pieces. This piece was created last year. It is actually a representation of my daughter, Eden. My daughter's name is Eden. It's the Garden of Eden. And what you will see is collage. Inside of I'll actually hold it up so you can kind of see it here. If you can't see it up there, so I don't know how close I can get. There is resin applied to it, so there's kind of a glare on it. I work with resin and other different materials. So on here, you'll see a vintage Bible that I have, yes, cut up the Bible. It has the story of Esther. It has the story of Ruth, which happened to be my favorite stories in the Bible. There's a tiny Bible that is being held within these very, very old rustic spoons. And the piece is based on being born, but not being born with that silver spoon in your mouth, and still feeling like there's a struggle to get away from society, to get away from reality of being this child of color. So that's the reason why you see the restraints on her hand, the restraints on her neck, and the string actually, the string, or what you might want to call the chain that is holding her against being who she is going away. So there's some beauty in it. It's the Garden of Eden, but there's also that, you know, those hidden things that are going on with children of color. So I tend to use my children in a lot of my work. They inspire me. So this is the piece. Again, it's collage. It has resin and has found objects within it. The piece that's coming up is dedicated to Mrs. Grauer. You heard Dr. Ellis speak about her. Ms. Grauer came into my life when I was 14 years old, and then she mentored me for about 26 years. I am 41. She passed away when she was 96 years old. I worked very closely with Ms. Grauer, Ms. Grauer's family, and you know, as we all feel about our grandparents or our grandmothers or even our mothers, Ms. Grauer took on this, I can't really describe her. I always describe her as superhuman. She had these powers just to be, and you could never, I never saw a 70-year-old or an 80-year-old or a 90-year-old. I didn't see a 95-year-old because her spirit was just her. So I was asked to do a dedication or be a part of an exhibition at Express Newark called Who We Are, Why We Do What We Do. And why I do what I do is because of those people that mentored me, and that one being Ms. Grauer. So Ms. Grauer was placed on a vintage ironing board for many reasons. When I see the ironing board, I see angels. I see this halo and this shape of these angels that you are used to seeing when you go into church. You see them, so it has that shape to it. It's also a foundation when I think of women and what women do for us, like my mom, my grandmother, my great-grandmother. That ironing board. The ironing board was also invented by a woman, an African-American woman. So I tend to get drawn to items like that. So on it, it has blueprints, because she set a blueprint. She set ways for me, roots. There's also, she was in the militant. She ran for, for Senate back in the day. She was this powerful, powerful woman, opened up the first art gallery in Newark. There's so much I can say about Ms. Grauer. Within her shirt is her family. Her favorite flower was the sunflower, so that's why her halo is filled with the sunflower. There's a lot to it. This piece is being shown at Express Newark. It will be shown virtually soon. So what I'm going to do today is kind of ask you to pay homage to someone who has passed. It doesn't have to be someone who passed. It could be someone who is in your life now, but someone that you feel this connectedness to. And we are going to collage. It might be something to heal you. It might be something that can relieve you of stress. You can use any foundation you want to use. You can use, and I have a couple examples, I'll just hold them up. paper is fine. If you have canvas, you can use canvas to apply onto. My next go-to is going to be these vintage ironing boards, vintage washboards that I'm working with. But right now, my series consists of 6 vintage ironing boards because of the foundation and because their symbolism with women, and also because of the angels. So the series is called Queen of Angels, which is basically you're thinking of Mother Teresa. In the background, there is a piece that is dedicated to my grandmother, Sylvia, and she is crowned with her old knitting pins, knitting and crocheting. I opened the box, and that was the one thing that I saw, and I thought to myself, wow, like, how did I get so lucky to have this box? Because my grandmother sat in the projects in 16th Street, Polish Jew, and she taught everyone that lived in the projects how to knit and how to crochet. So everyone would sit next to my grandmother, and my grandmother would just say, come on, I'll teach you, I'll teach you.
So Danielle, I'm going to cut you off because I want you to teach us because our time's going.
Okay.
Right?
So what we're going to use, if you have some things, old books, I will be cutting them up, and I left some wooden surface. I'll show you how to collage. I'm also going to be using some old prayers from the Bible. Right. And the person that I'm dedicating this to is actually my Nan.
Tell us about her a little bit.
So this is my Nan. My Nan is from Jersey City, okay? And my Nan will be honored on this piece. 2 weeks before quarantine and before the shutdown of everything that happened, my Nan went into the hospital on a Thursday thinking she had the flu, and she passed away that Saturday. We are not sure if my Nan passed of COVID, but we suspect that she did. So I'm honoring my Nan and who she is and what she did for me. My Nan was very Catholic, so that's why you see a lot of the Bible, you see a lot of the prayers. So I'm gonna start collaging. You guys can watch, and if you have someone you want to do it with, go right ahead.
So as we're seeing Danielle get ready for this, she has told us the supplies that we need. You should take note of them. And the book that she showed us, I believe, was a holy book.
Yes.
As we go through this process, we won't see this particular ironing board complete, but we will be able to see how we get from where she started with her underpants area, as some people refer to it, and how to do this.
I use gel medium or Mod Podge, some people use. I tend to use gel medium because of the gloss. I like the way it is because I can continue to put layer upon layers. With the old books, if you're using an old book, double the pages because, of course, old books fall apart. So I have a couple pieces together. I'm going to lay them down onto gel medium and then apply the gel medium on top.
I have a question, Danielle. As you're applying, sometimes I've found when I do this, sometimes it gets a little bubbly.
Yes.
How can we deal with that and get a clean surface?
I tend to use these brushes a lot of the time, and I push it down. Also, like a scraper.
Okay, good.
Kind of keep it smooth if I need.
As you're putting it down, I see that you're going from almost in a linear way. Is there any benefit, or how long do we have when you put the gel down?
The gel doesn't dry. So the gel is down there. I do the foundation of the gel first. Then I'm gonna put the pages on top, and then I'll build the layers, and the layers will be those prayers. And then I will be drawing on here. So there's a lot to this piece that's actually completed, but the foundation is always something that the woman that I'm working on stood for. So on the one in the back, there is the Torah on it.
Oh, beautiful.
So those are the pages on that piece. This piece, I'm putting the Bible because my grandmother, was highly Catholic, my Nan, and my grandmother was Jewish, so that's why she has, scripture on there.
In doing this, in the tribute, should we pick what people love or our relationship to the person, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters. I think it's what you feel. And I think it's what you feel, and I think it's also what you have of them. You know, because when I did my grandmother's piece, I had started with other items. And when I opened up the box that happened to have like things that I don't even know what they are, I can pull it out. I have one behind me, but someone had to tell me that they were lottery books. Because I had no clue. Like, these are certain things right in my grandmother's box. And I actually wish that I used these to lay the foundation for my grandmother.
Yes.
And I'm telling you this because my grandmother used to remember numbers every day, and she would send us to do it. So we would go to the bodega, we would go to the store, and we would take care of that for her. But there was never a day that my grandmother didn't go and pick her numbers. And in finding that, I found that my grandmother had a book that she would go through the book to pick the numbers and what the numbers meant. So there's like this old book and it says like 236, and that's for a dream. If you dream of, you know, like, I don't know why people come up with these things.
As Danielle is working, if you could turn your mics off and in the chat box, write a question if you have a question, but I'll continue to have the conversation with her at this particular point. I wanted to know, do you always start with text, or is it because of the thinness, or is a card more difficult to use? Say a little more about that.
You can use a card if you're using Mod Podge, if you're using gel medium. I've used gel medium to even hold down the knitted needles in the back. So you can use anything. I actually like books. When I read, I like to have a book in my hand. So I have this thing for old books and the smell of an old book, the age of the papers, the way it looks. You know, like I don't have to go get a tea bag and dye the pages because it already has that to it. And it just offers that like very, you know, vintage or authentic look. So when I did Miss Grauer's piece, I happened to go to Newark and get some old blueprints of schools because she was a teacher. So I found the blueprint of the school that she taught in. And I used that as her foundation on her piece.
So this collaging process, while it's very loose, there's a lot of work that you do beforehand and researching if you're going to do this kind of dedication piece. So, you know, you have a box of items there that was saved. What if I wanted to do one with my grandmother and I couldn't find enough things in this house. I have to go to my mother's house. How do you recommend us doing research or replacing the items, if you will?
So I would use what you have. I would also reach out to family members, that's what I do. It's always, I call this person, I call that person, and they'll send me what they have. I was fortunate to do a family book, so that's how I was able to do my grandmother's because I already had those images. With my nan is my godmother's mother. Okay. And I don't have like all of those images, but what I do have is like, you know, some of my cousins sent me this. Like, this is me.
Oh, beautiful. Oh.
I've never seen this photo until maybe last year, and I wasn't aware of it. So when I asked for images, the images started coming because they knew what I was going to do.
That's beautiful.
So I would reach out to family members. If there's something particular about a family member that you don't have, I know with COVID we can't get out and get it, but when things open back up, like getting to a thrift store might have some of those items.
That's a great idea.
In your home. Things like that. Like I've been lucky to, you know, go into studios of people who have passed away and their family members say, listen, I know these are things you would want and you would want to use them. So please just be free with them.
So we have a question here asking, have you done, helped heal emotionally with families with this type of work through collaging? Because you mentioned art therapy and dedication pieces. Have you done it with your family collectively? And do you do this with families?
I haven't done it with families, but I've done it with young children. I spent 10 years of the beginning of my teaching career at a residential treatment center for boys. And me and the boys always did things that, whatever they went through, post-traumatic stress, whatever reason why they had to come to the residential, we would try to work it out. And collaging always seemed to be the easiest way to just get them to grab things that they felt and actually put them down on paper. Sometimes it's harder to make someone draw.
Yes. Yes.
You know, just going through a magazine and seeing things that make you feel what's going on with you, and you just take them out and put them on. So I have done it in that way. I've collaged with my own, my high school students. So right now, my high school students are working on a COVID self-portrait.
Wow.
And it's a portrait of them and them collaging what they're feeling, their emotions, what they're going through. I have two students who, one had COVID, one's dad passed of COVID, and then the other one, her mom and her dad have it, and they're in the same household.
Wow.
But that student is still working on the collage, and she's like, thank you for giving us this assignment, because I don't have to speak about what I'm going through. I can get it out in this way.
So if you could show us the next step, because we have about 20 minutes left.
Okay, so this is basically down. So what I tend to do is look at the cards, and I'm collecting these. So these tiny cards, that's not a good one, but if you can see that one.
Yes.
So these get collaged in. So that's the foundation, and then this will turn into a large angel, and then her head will be at the top. So I'm actually going to cut my nan's head and put it at the top. So this is actually a photo. It's not a drawing or a painting, but this is what I was able to get. So I try to cut as close as possible. She will receive some sort of halo. And like I said, her head is going to be placed on an angel's body. I started drawing out the body. It is on the board so that it's a full angel. So she will be here, I'm going to say about, because I have the ironing board in the opposite direction. And then on here, a lot of my paintings have hearts in them. So I'm actually going to cut this heart out and place it onto my nan.
As you're doing that, do you have any sort of idea what your next step is, or is it really sort of an organic process?
Some of it's very organic, but then it starts to come to what I want it to be. I do know that I want her to be in the shape of an angel. So that, I'm trying to find the image if I have it. So what will happen is, of course, you're not going to watch me draw. So her head is here, and then she will have angel wings and a halo above her. So I can actually, let me hold this up so you can see. So right now, I don't know if you can see that.
We can. Yeah, I can tilt it a little closer, forward. Good, perfect.
So there's an angel body here.
So you drew on that part.
I
Okay.
drew it, so I know where to place her head.
Perfect.
And then what I'm going to do, there will be a big halo here. This is the body or the drape that will be here. This is her arm. There will be some wings up here or coming out. And I love spray paint. So
Okay.
what I will have to do is, it's already drawn. I will go on and make a stencil and then spray paint the gold robe onto her.
Wow. Wow.
So that's what, to bring this up close so everyone can see what's actually on here. Oops.
Ooh.
So there's, scripture, there's these different, images that I'm collecting, that I'm placing on here. The next thing that will top it off, which will go on her chest, is this little thing that I found. I love this little cross.
Yes.
So that will go on her shirt. And each ironing board is spray painted gold.
Why did you decide to do that?
My last series had a lot of gold in it.
Yes.
And I didn't want to leave that behind. I love the gold.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the angel itself,
Yes.
the gold just made sense. And when I spray painted Miss Growers, the back of it and the sides, I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is what I want. And my grandmother's has been, I don't know if you can see the gold on the ironing board.
Yeah, I see it at the top, and I see a little bit on her.
So I just want to move it. So the board is gold.
Oh, yes, 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 along the side.
And then that is my grandmother, Sylvia. So each, like I said, there's 6 of these, and they're dedicated to all the women. They're dedicated to women, unfortunately, who have passed, but who have inspired me. So my 4th one is dedicated to Alita Caldwell, who was the principal of Arts High School, who passed away. And then they'll continue. So, put this down. And they're heavy. And the ironing boards, if you're looking for things like that, mine came from Visa Washington. Miss Washington was my mentor as well. And she said, listen, I have one if you need another one. So that's another source of materials, getting them from other artists in the community who might want to drop them off to you.
So if you do not have big things, or
Yes.
What about something like a glass or a picture frame? Are those okay?
I think a picture frame is perfect. I think a picture frame is perfect. I think a smaller canvas would be perfect. I'm trying to see. I have this really tiny one.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
Something very large. Like I said, it doesn't. This is the same thing, same method. It has some scripture. It has flowers down, and then there's a little black queen in the middle.
It's very shiny. Could you talk about that process? Resin.
So what I've learned with my work is, especially collage. When you collage, you run the risk of the images ripping or them coming up. Even when you use a heavy-bodied medium, a gloss medium, a Mod Podge, I feel like I had to secure them in some way so that, they wouldn't get ruined, especially if it's something that someone would want to purchase, So I started using, I'm gonna collage while you're talking. I started using resin. And my first go around with resin, I learned that it was very toxic. So the smell was too much for me. And then I happened to go to Jerry's, and Jerry's had something that was eco-friendly. You can't smell it. It's called art resin. It comes in 2 parts, and all you have to do is mix them equally and then stir them up. And then you have a torch, and you torch it so it's nice and level. And it covers the image. And you have to let it sit, for a couple days while it, cures.
So someone is interested, could we use live flowers in collages, and does the Mod Podge or the resin preserve them?
Now, I've never used live flowers before. Mod Podge, I do know you can use with live flowers, but I have seen people taking molds, and this is a question for someone. People take a mold and they have put live flowers in the mold and poured the resin on top and casted live flowers inside.
Wow.
So I guess the answer would be yes, as long as you have something to contain the resin, because resin is going to go all over. So you kind of need to keep the resin within.
Okay.
These paintings, I work on cardboard or something, and I lift them up and I pour the resin, I let it the resin do what the resin's gonna do. But, excuse me, when it comes to flowers, you want to put them in some sort of mold or something like that.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
These, the flowers that are on here are actually paper flowers, and they have the resin on it for the person who's asking. So,
Yes, I see them.
yeah, they're not collage flowers. They're actually heavy duty, it's like a, it's not tissue paper, but it's heavier, and it is casted in the resin.
Okay, so the process you just told us, you did that with those flowers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I did.
You hinted at the toxic level and the toxicity when you're doing some of these things. You mentioned paint. You're going to paint over it. What kinds of paints do you use?
I'm an oil painter. So I love oil. I am a trained oil painter. I love the smell of oil. It's just something about it. And I love that oil takes a very, very long time to dry. Because then if I see something, I'm like, I don't like it, I can always go back and blend or render or move the paint some more. With acrylic paint, you don't have that luxury.
Right.
So I don't really touch acrylic paint at all, unless it's an emergency or a touch-up. So I'm going to use oil on this piece and spray paint, which is another thing. So spray paint has become my favorite. I don't know why, because I actually have to cut a stencil for whatever I'm going to spray paint down. So, and that there's a smell with spray paint as well. So it depends on the person and what mediums they like. I actually like to have all mediums that I could just play around with them and see how they're gonna work on my piece. Okay. Fabric, wood, books, anything I can get my hands on when I collage. When I'm painting, that's a different, just a soul painting, that's a different story.
All right, we're gonna not say anything and just watch you for a little bit work.
And when I collage, I normally try to fill spaces so that there is a composition. Because the paper is so light, I like to put other images that have a heavy contrast that you will be drawn to.
You said a very fancy art word. You said composition.
Yes. So I like to look at the piece, and I will always stop. Like, this piece will sit today, and I'll come back, I'll look at it, and I'll say, oh, is the composition off? I want it to be appealing, and not just you look at one thing. I want your eyes to be able to move around the whole work. So
is the composition like telling a story in a way?
Yes, yes. I don't want you to focus on one thing. I want you to be able to look at it and take it in. And that was the start of me using actually text in my work. So I wanted people to actually read, to take the time to sit there and understand the piece and what is happening. Not just look at the piece and walk away from it. Just to see that there's deeper things in there. And I use dictionaries a lot of the time. I love the dictionary. I'll go through the dictionary and find words to describe what's going on in my work. And people have asked, why do you use a dictionary? And they're like, oh, I see. I understand why now. Because you want people to know this is what it is.
Someone asked, they want to know what they can do with concert tickets. They've been had them throughout their life, lots of concert tickets. So they're inspired by this work. Do you have any ideas off the top of your head that you may be able to offer?
I'm thinking of a foundation for concert tickets. Might be some old record albums.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
So if you can get your hands on old record albums, the small ones are really cute. Mm-hmm. And the small record albums tend to come in a book with like 10 of them in it. And you can even include the record wrapping that the record is in, because it's going to be an old piece of paper. Right. So they might want to do that with concert tickets. Are they using the concert tickets for, who loves music? Do they love music? Can they use themselves in the image that they're collaging?
That's lovely.
Yeah, concert tickets might work. Albums, I think record albums would work. I've used record albums before, and they're fun. They're fun. It's a circle,
Right.
you know?
What are some of the things that we shouldn't do if we're collaging? Is there some don'ts that or things we should watch out for?
Yeah. So with collaging, I always tell myself, and even my students, is get all your materials together and kind of lay them out before you start gluing, because once you glue them, it's permanent. And or you will have to just go and glue on top again. And I had to learn that with my grandmother's piece. I actually did my grandmother's piece. I didn't like the way the collage came out, and I ended up going back to Staples and printing more images and starting all over. So don't rush. That would be my advice when you're collaging. Do not rush. Lay out your pieces. Know how you want it to feel and how you want it to move. And if you mess up, if you need to go on top, you go on top. I've done that. I've layered my pieces because I'm like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like the way that look. It doesn't feel right for me. So I wouldn't rush if someone is collaging. Don't rush it.
So someone has I think probably like some of us of a particular age, lots of T-shirts from different events, whether they're concerts or conferences. Are those usable in these kind of collages?
T-shirts. So T-shirts, I think you can do if you wanted to photo transfer onto those.
Okay.
Or cut them and photo transfer onto something else.
Okay.
So Podge does come in photo transfer.
Okay.
I actually just ordered it. I've never used it. I've used this gel medium to photo transfer, and it works very well. But onto fabric, I would use the fabric photo transfer by Podge.
Okay.
You have old T-shirts. If you want to cut those T-shirts and then transfer that over, you can do that.
All right. Okay.
Yes, definitely. So what I'm doing now is adding some darker colors because like I said, the foundation is light. And because I have that one foundation that's very light, I do want like this before contrast to happen so that you can look here and there. So I'm cutting more and more. There is a prayer that I will be putting on here that was handed out at my nan's funeral. And if anyone wants to look it up, it's the magic of a mother's touch.
The magic of a mother's touch.
Yes.
Right.
So this will actually be incorporated into this piece, and it's going to go on her gown. I'm actually going to move because it's not staying down. And I tend to be a messy artist sometimes. I'm not, the cleanest when I'm collaging, so you'll see me just pouring on gel medium or pouring on Podge, but I know where I want it to go. If you don't have gel medium, if you don't have Podge, you can take Elmer's glue and dilute it and put some water in it. And it moves the same way. It's just not going to have that heavy gel to it, that gel or gloss quality to it. So that's for those of you who don't have these type of materials at home.
I have a question regarding your art therapy work. Could you say a little bit of, I liked very much what you talked about with the fellas and also what you're doing right now with your students. If we are not necessarily doing a dedication, is there any kind of homework you would suggest for us if we have been feeling a little stressed at this point as an art therapist?
With art, it can be very therapeutic. Sometimes I don't even go to my art. I like to hand sew. So if there's people who knit, as my grandmother did, if you sew, I know some people like the sewing machine. I actually like to take my time and hand sew. So that I find to be very therapeutic.
Like needlepoint? Are you doing needlepoint?
regular needle and I'm taking some fabrics and I'm putting them together. The other thing I like is just weird materials, gluing them. I like to take pins, 1,000,001 pins, and I'll pin them into something, and that just makes me feel so good. So it doesn't have to be collage based. If you love paint, you're stressed, take your hands and put it into the paint and act like you're in kindergarten again. Act like a child. Express yourself. Take a big roll of piece of paper or whatever you have, put it down, and just be free with it. And I think that also calms the soul a lot. I teach high school, and the kids always say, "This is so stressful. Oh my God, I can't do this." And I'm like, well, you know what? Don't do that. Be free with whatever you want to put on that page right now. Don't sit and do the perfect still life with the value scale and the lighting. Take your time and do something else, and then come back to it. There's a difference between high school students and kindergarten and little kids. Little kids are free. And I think when we're stressed out as adults and we have so much pent up, there's art, there's music, there's people who cook. There's all those different things that you can use as therapy for yourself. Writing, journal. If you have a journal, you can journal and add images into it that mean something to you, that make you feel something.
So what I'm going to do, we have about 5 minutes of questions to open it up to folks. While we open it up, there was a question about with little kids versus high school kids, are you giving them the gloss or the glue? Do you have any advice about the materials that you have a younger person do
So a younger person, I haven't taught elementary school in a really long time, but I do have a 3-year-old. And my 3-year-old, we normally put large pieces of paper on the floor, and he loves the glue stick. So the glue stick, I don't tend to give him Elmer's glue because he will squeeze so much all over the place. So we don't do that. I'll do it for him. So with the younger kids, I would suggest using a glue stick, using gel medium. If you do use gel, they might actually like you giving them a plate, and then they can put it down with just Elmer's glue. The older kids, when we collage, in my classroom, we use gel medium. I don't use resin in high school with my high school students. That's just something that I use or that I do. So gluing, those type of surfaces would be the glue stick for little ones, not a hot glue gun ever. I don't even use it with my high school students. I use it with myself, but me and the hot glue gun have a love-hate relationship. So you have to be careful with that, even with high school students. Little ones, I would never give them that, unless you're doing it for them.
Okay. So when you mentioned about going to Staples, do you have to have a certain kind of printer to get the best outcome with your project? Is it an inkjet? Is it a laser printer? Could you just, any printer?
I think it could be any printer. I don't have a printer at home. I wish I did. I go to Staples because they, at this point, one, they're used to me coming in there, and they try to find the best way to print old photos for me. And I like their service. They're very patient when they're doing the stuff for me. I would say any printer. I would try to keep to the tone of the picture. So if the picture is, something that's in like a sepia tone, like this, I would try to keep the character of the image.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Don't change it to something else. So if this is what you want, but when you're picking things, I try to pick things in those tones when I'm collaging. Like this is an older image. Same thing. Not the one on the right, but this one. It has that tone to it.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
That you kind of want to keep that in the work because it already has the color. You don't have to add more color to it. So I'm not so much with ink. I really don't care what printer it's used on as long as they try to keep the same colors of the vintage photos.
The integrity of it. We have folks on that are yoga instruction therapists and healers and therapists. They want to know what's the best way to get that kind of skill that you said that where did you go to get trained in art therapy?
I graduated from School of Visual Arts, and I took on art therapy, art education, and fine arts.
So it was at college level, because our university, NJCU, we offer art therapy also.
Yes. So from School of Visual Arts, we did internships in different areas. My first internship was at the VA hospital with vets, and I worked closely with them, and then I learned that little things trigger people who have experienced, trauma. And then I fell in love with it, and then I used that with little kids and started working at a residential treatment center.
Wow.
If there are yogis, on here, yoga, of course, if they're teaching yoga virtually to help themselves and others, that is great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 15-year yogi, Bikram. I don't like to say the word Bikram, but hot yoga. My yoga instructor, she has a YouTube with just her voice and the positions in Bikram. And she used that to heal others who can't get to a Bikram studio. Bikram is therapy for a lot of people, or yoga is therapy for a lot of people.
Could you define what that is for some of us who don't know what Bikram is?
So Bikram yoga, or hot yoga, Bikram yoga is 110 degrees in a yoga studio. You have your yoga instructor, you have us, the yogis. We're there for 90 minutes. And we're doing the positions in a certain sequence. And the sequence for Bikram never changed because it's a structured Bikram. It's not like doing vinyasa or, a free flow yoga. You're doing it, you know your positions from your breathing to the beginning, from your breathing to the end. So there's the new term for Bikram is hot 26 or hot 28 that people are using instead of Bikram, who is the creator of that form of yoga.
Okay, all right. So we're going to wind up, and I want to give you a chance to say where you're headed with this before I close us out.
This piece will end with it being a very large angel shape. On here in gold, it will be spray painted. My nan's face will be on the angel at the top. I will be adding more of these tiny prayer cards into them because they have the color that I need. And then there's going to be the spray painting of the gold. These pieces, hopefully for everyone who attended, when they are all exhibited together, I will be extremely happy, and I hope I can get information out to everyone. If you're interested in my work is not just the ironing boards. I do different series of works. I do have an artist Instagram page. It's very simple. It's artist Danielle Scott. You can find me on there. You can follow this piece. While I work or process the piece, I normally put images up, and then you can see what it looks like at the end, because we can't finish it here in this, the virtual space right now. But it will definitely be posted when it's done. I am working on that one and the one that I showed you of my grandmother. So those will be posted on there. I don't know where they will exhibit. And then I will be speaking on my Instagram virtually for the piece that was done for Miss Brower as well. So that will be soon.
Thank you so much, Danielle. What a fitting way for us to end our 3-part series. You could turn on your volume so that we can hear everyone applaud this wonderful, wonderful artist.
Amazing.
So we're going to turn you off so that we can then say what we're going to do next.
Cool.
So we want to thank you all for participating in our 3-part series, the Zonta Club of Essex and also NJPAC. We've had amazing artists that have joined us, and I'm thankful and grateful to those artists for participating with us. We opened up with storytelling and poets. Thank you to Queen and Bimpe and hearing about that. Then we did a workshop that looked at how to write and the power of writing and healing, and Dr. Linda Epps and Jasmine Mann. And today we use the visual art. So we're incredibly, incredibly grateful to all of you. So what do I want to say as we leave? Well, I want to see my face. There you go. What do I want to say? I want to offer this benediction to us. May you find peace in the midst of the storm. May you find radical self-love in the stories at the bottom of grandmother's pot liquor and the sounds of sister friends' laughter. May your isolation find way to songs of how I got over, and in the words of rich cultural histories from Toni Morrison, Nikki Giovanni, and Maya Angelou. May you never mourn alone even when loved ones are not near. May today's rain bring forth a harvest of overflowing bounty to fill your belly. May you have enough memories to create beautiful artwork and never forget who you are, enough coins to pay what is due, enough love to know that you are worthy. May your tears nourish dry places deep within your soul. May you have health and discernment and courage to walk away when necessary. May you see yourself in every woman and every girl. May the walls built to oppress you crumble with thunder from women's voices protesting and resisting in sewing circles and social media dance parties and poetry slams and choir lofts, holy dancing and Zoom classes and art galleries and voting booths. May we continue to heal. Take a deep breath. Take another deep breath. Take it in, a breath of fresh air. God bless. Go in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Antoinette.
Thank you, Antoinette.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Great job, Antoinette. You're wonderful.
Thank you, Antoinette. That was great.
Thank you, Antoinette.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Ladies.
Wonderful.
I'm checking all the questions.
Thank you, Antoinette, for a great series.
Oh, I forgot to tell everyone that we're going to try and do, we'll send something out to everybody. We're going to try and have, we'll do artwork. We're hoping that you do a collage and we'll have them uploaded. And if you wrote also. So I heard some sneezing. Take care. Make sure the allergies are good. There's no sun out, so just stay inside and eat some ice cream.
That's true. That'll keep you inside.
Great.
Have a great holiday weekend, everyone.
All right, you too. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Everybody.